Wa Jubilee wenzangu, hamjambo? Hamjambo tena. Wacha nianze kusema ya kwamba niko na furaha nyingi sana siku ya leo kuwa pamoja nanyi, na niwashukuru nyote ambao mmeweza kufika hapa. Nishukuru pia wale ambao hawakuweza kufika, lakini najua tuko pamoja na wao katika runinga na mambo mengine na social media. Na niseme naungana na vile ndugu yetu Secretary General amesema. Leo ni siku ya furaha. Leo ni siku ya furaha kwangu na kwa jamii yote ya Jubilee. Kwa sababu kwa muda mrefu tumezungushwa na kusumbuliwa. Wachache wamelipwa, wengine wamejiita wakuu, lakini hakuna mkuu kushinda Mwenyezi Mungu, na tumejiona tukiwa hapa. Kwa hivyo tumshukuru Mwenyezi Mungu. Nataka kama MC ameniingilia kidogo, wacha nisome hii yangu kidogo, kwa sababu sitaki kuwa misquoted or misrepresented. Nataka niseme yale ambaye yako katika roho yangu, na ndio tuweze tujipange na tujue kutoka hapa kwenda mbele ni barabara gani ambaye tutaelekea. Si ni hivyo? So therefore, party members and my fellow Kenyans, today marks almost 3 years, as the Secretary General has just informed us, since we last gathered here at this very same venue and held our last National Delegates Conference. This is through no fault of my own, but as a direct result of devious machinations by those who wanted to falsely and forcefully take over this party. As we meet today, I wish to take this very early opportunity to thank all those loyal party members, the many lawyers and Kenyans of goodwill who have ensured that once again we are able to meet and restart our journey forward again. Asanteni sana. Politics, as we have seen, is about many things. But one thing that cannot be overridden is that politics is first and foremost about the collective will of the people, exercised either by members of the party, like we are here today, or by the citizens of a democratic nation through the ballot box. So it is my hope that from today we shall see the end of machinations and the start of a democratic process, because it is the people who will decide. Sio watu wachache kujifungia pahali ama watumwe na watu wengine, kwa sababu tunajua hata hawa ni kutumwa, walikuwa wametumwa. Ni wananchi, members wa chama, ambao watachukua hatua na decision ya kutueleza mwelekeo wa chama utakuwa mgani, sio watu wachache pahali kidogo huko. So 3 years ago, at the end of a hotly contested general election, and amid an atmosphere of hostility not only to our party, but to myself, members of my family, and members of my administration. But despite that, I stood at this same venue, ready to begin a process that should have been normal in any mature democracy. A process of rejuvenating our party and infusing it with new leadership, a new crop of leaders inspired by a new generation who would craft our party's future as well as our shared vision for our country. After having handed over the reins of state to a new administration in a peaceful and orderly manner, as you all witnessed, I expected the same for our party. Unfortunately, this was not to be, for reasons as explained. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been in active politics for the greater part of my life, 40 years plus. I have seen its good, I have seen its bad, and even its ugly. But at every juncture, I have always tried to do my best in the spirit of service to my party, but most importantly, service to this country that I love. I have both lost elections and won elections, taking each in my stride, learning that in politics, you can never be led by bitterness, anger, or hate. That only deviates you from your mission and vision. Wale wanataka kuendelea na matusi, hiyo ni shauri yao. Sisi hatuna chuki na mtu, tunapenda nchi yetu. I have had my fair share of successes as well as challenges. But the truth of the matter is that none of this would have been possible if I myself, at an early age, had not been given the opportunity and support to take up various leadership positions in our country. As a party, under my administration, under my leadership, and courtesy of the Kenyan electorate, we have been a governing party for approximately 10 out of our country's 60-odd years of life since independence. Looking back, there are things we can be proud of, and admittedly, there are things that we could also have done better. As a party, we can say with pride that it was our administration that oversaw the implementation of a new constitutional order, and we did so within the stipulated timelines. As a party, we can say that we left behind a more connected country than we found it. We doubled the number of tarred roads, increased electricity connections from 35% of our population that we found to over 70%. We began the process of modifying dilapidated colonial infrastructure with the introduction of the SGR, the development of Lamu Port, the revival of Kisumu Port, amongst many others. In health, our Linda Mama, the removal of maternity fees in our health centers gave and saw great improvement in maternal health and improved child mortality rates. Our management equipment services saw medical equipment such as dialysis machines, scanning machines, laboratories, and other equipment become available to distant corners of our country, with counties like Mandera being able to carry out cesarean sections and other such operations for the first time since independence. In education, we restored the sanctity of our exams. We maintained the free primary education that we inherited from President Kibaki. We expanded the free day secondary education and reduced the burden of healthcare for our parents with the introduction of EduAfia for our students. In security, despite initial challenges, we invested heavily in our infrastructure, security infrastructure. We restructured our security organs and deepened an interagency approach, thereby ensuring that our security agencies were better able to handle both domestic and external threats. This machine that we built, however, was not to be used and designed to face its own citizens, and it is not supposed to have been a source of fear and conflict with our citizens. Ilikuwa ya kulinda wananchi, sio kuumiza wananchi. We worked as a party to bring greater cohesion in our social construct, to reduce ethnic tensions and address both social and regional equalities. This noble effort, unfortunately, was used against us in the last campaigns, it being called an attempt to erode democracy. I wonder what they call theirs today. I can go on and on, but that is for another time. Equally, my friends, it is true to say that we also face challenges, key among them being our war against corruption in government that was less than successful. Our intergovernment relations also left much to be desired, a case in point being the uneasy relationship with the judiciary over the appointment of judges. To my mind, the framers of our Constitution intended that the different arms of government will be simultaneously independent, but always interdependent, for the common good of our people and nation. It was never our intention to deny them their independence or to interfere with their operations. All of this and more, but as I have said, this is a story for another day. So therefore now, we need to ask ourselves, where are we and where do we want to go? Ladies and gentlemen, over the years as a leader, some things have become apparent and clear to me. That you succeed by looking at past successes, injecting new ideas, and improving upon them. And you fail by ignoring past mistakes and therefore falling folly of repeating the same. This, while always having an open mind and a listening ear, even to those you disagree with, and especially to the voices of our younger generations. For in a world that is ever evolving as fast as it is with such insights that it is then that such insights become crucial for true transformation to occur. A balance of all this is what makes a stable and pragmatic nation, one that is filled with hope and not despair, a nation at peace with itself, and one that is able to transist with ease from one generation to the next. In the last general election, I endeavored to pass this message. Unfortunately, it fell on deaf ears and was lost in the noise of insults, character assassinations, myths and stories of dynasties and hustlers, and so on. Yeah. Today, many of the gains we had in the past have been eroded. Linda Mama and others replaced by new, untried, untested schemes. And while we wait for these experiments to work, Kenyans suffer and our progress is retarded. As we continue to dwell in rhetoric rather than in progress, we repeat the mistakes of the past. Indeed, today, some of the truths we spoke of yesterday have become the reality check of today, while some of the myths and falsehoods have become the nightmare that many are living. So again, why are we here today? Ladies and gentlemen, the past can inform us, but the present can shape the future. So the first thing, as our Secretary General has told us, our first mission today was to pass amendments to our party's constitution. Amendments to ensure that the machinations of the past shall never be used again to hold back our progress. Second is to seek your approval to put in place measures to rejuvenate our party and set in motion a process of injecting new blood into our party structures and hierarchy. Men and women, especially the young, and when I say the young, I am not just saying young in body, we also want young in mind and spirit. Men and women of integrity who can be trusted with our future. Men and women who have the courage to fight for what is right and just. Men and women with the patience to listen to those whom they wish to lead. Men and women with compassion for their fellow citizens. Men and women of wisdom, not pride. Men and women who know as human beings they can make mistakes, but stand ready to correct them. I have watched quietly the ongoings of the recent past and greatly admired the tribeless, steadfast courage of today's generations. A generation that knows what it wants and is determined to achieve it, whatever the cost. It is my hope today that as some of us give way, that those same young ones, with the same energy, conviction, and patriotism that we saw in the streets, you will be able to use them to transform the structures of our party, and ultimately you yourselves enter the corridors of power and high office and take charge of your own destiny. You know what you want. It is not for me to tell you. You know what you want. You have the energy to get it. And time is on your side. Musibaki nyuma. In the next few weeks, we shall be rolling out our recruitment strategy across the country. Across generations and gender. This in conjunction with other activities aimed at rejuvenating and reinvigorating our party at grassroots level. Our doors are open for all well-meaning Kenyans, and it is my intention to oversee a smooth and transparent process where it shall be the will of the party membership that shall prevail. Nyinyi wenyewe. So ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, I wish, for the sake of clarity, to remind Kenyans that the Jubilee Party, as you well know, and for reasons that have just been given, has been largely silent for the last 3 years for those reasons. When we last convened a National Delegates Conference prior to the 2002 general elections, the party resolved to become a member of the Azimio la Umoja coalition because I, as party leader then and now, was convinced that the coalition and its members shared a common vision for our country. In the years since then, however, the Azimio coalition membership has undergone changes. I don't need to elaborate, nyinyi nyote munaelewa. However, notwithstanding these changes, and as we speak today, the party, as per the decision of our organs, remains a member of what is left of this coalition, and any decision on whether to reinvest in it or leave it will be a decision for the party's new leadership to take when the time comes. Lakini sasa tuko pahali tulikuwa. Mimi sio mtu wa kupiga reverse na kona kila siku. But make no mistake when I say that. Like any other political party, we shall be preparing for the next general election, and doing so in earnest. And it remains our firm intention to field the best possible candidates for all elective positions. We shall either do this on our own, or we shall do this in concert with like-minded political movements. It is therefore my hope that a newly energized Jubilee Party will achieve 2 immediate outcomes. Firstly, to provide a suitable platform for visionary aspiring leaders to offer themselves up in the service of their nation. And secondly, for the citizens of Kenya to be present with a vibrant set of options from which to elect leaders of their choice in accordance with the democratic ideals of our constitutional order and what our national constitution states. Kwa hivyo wenzangu, niliwaambia mimi siku hizi siongeangi mengi. Najaribu saa kukaa on point. Sio hapana, unajua sasa wataenda watanichukua wapindue ingine. Lakini ya muhimu, chama chetu cha Jubilee Kutoka mwanzo lengo letu lilikuwa tujenge chama cha kitaifa, chama ambacho kitaunganisha Wakenya wote, chama ambacho nia yake ni kuona sio sehemu hii ama hii, lakini Kenya yote ikisonga mbele, wananchi wakiwa pamoja na wakipendana kama ndugu na dada. Na nyinyi mnajua hata kazi ambazo tulikuwa tukifanya wakati tulikuwa na nafasi ya uongozi wa taifa hili letu la Kenya, lilikuwa linalenga kila kona ya jamhuri yetu ya Kenya. Hakuna pahali ambapo hatukujenga mabarabara, hakuna pahali ambapo hatukuweka stima, hakuna pahali ambapo watoto walikuwa wanasemekana wamekosa kuenda shule kwa sababu hawana karo. Watoto wetu wote primary na secondary walikuwa wanasoma kila pahali Kenya hii yetu. Na hiyo ndiyo njia ya kuinua hali ya maisha na tuweze kusongesha taifa letu mbele. Mambo hii ya kusema ati chama hii ni ya upande hii, chama ni ya upande hii, chama ni ya upande hii, la, wacha tuwe na national parties ambazo zinaunganishwa kwa sababu ya sera, lakini sio kwa sababu ya pahali ambapo zimetoka. Hakuna sababu ya nyinyi kama wana Jubilee kuchagua mtu kutoka kila kona yeyote ya Kenya. Haja ni nyinyi mjue ya kwamba huyo mmechagua ni mtu ambaye atajitolea kutendea Wakenya wote pahali popote walipo kwa haki, bila kupora na bila kutenga mtu yeyote. That is the only thing that is important. Sio mtu ametoka wapi ama umezaliwa wapi. Na ndipo nilikuwa nawaambia hii story, watu walikuwa wanazungusha sijui hasla, sijui huyu ni mtoto wa single mother, si huyu ni mtoto wa dynasty. Mimi najua watoto wangapi wa single mother ambao wamesoma vizuri sana na wameendea lakini kusema ati wewe sababu wewe umezaliwa na single mother, hiyo ndio qualification yako ya kuchaguliwa. Hapana, njoo uambie Wakenya ni nini utawafanyia. Pahali popote umezaliwa, haja ni nini unawafanyia. Anyway, hapana. Kila mtoto, uwe umezaliwa kwa nyumba ya matope, uwe umezaliwa kwa nyumba ya dhahabu, kila mtu ako na nafasi ya kuongoza taifa hili letu la Kenya. Haja ni apatiwe nafasi. Na tunataka sisi iwe chama chetu cha Jubilee ndicho kitapatia Wakenya wote bila kubagua nafasi ya uongozi katika taifa letu la Kenya. Na hiyo ndiyo lengo letu. Na hiyo ndiyo nimesema, na nitahakikisha mimi nimesimamia hiyo process mpaka mwisho. Na ndio zile shida ambazo zilitokea hapo awali, watu kuwa wanauza matikiti na mfuko kulingana na ile pesa wamepewa. Hiyo system imeisha. Transparency itakuweko in all the processes that we shall follow. Na mtu kama ni kiti unataka, wenye viti ni hawa, waongeleshe na uwaongeleshe vizuri. Ama ni namna gani? Tumekubaliana wenzangu? Na mimi nitajitolea sasa, kwa sababu tumesema tunataka kuanzisha recruitment drive, kuanza kuzunguka mashinani kila area, tupatane na nyinyi, tuongee pamoja na nyinyi. Na ndio pamoja tujue mwelekeo wa kesho. Tumekubaliana wenzangu? Sisi tuwe watu wa amani. Sisi tusiwe watu wa kuchafua na maneno ambaye hayastahili. Sisi tusiwe watu ya matusi. Sisi tuwe watu wa kueneza upendo, amani na maendeleo katika taifa letu la Kenya. Na najua tukiwa hivyo tukiungana na wengine, Mungu ndio anajua barabara ambayo ametupangia.
Nairobi is on a political fire as former President Uhuru Kenyatta makes a thunderous return to the national spotlight, leading the Jubilee Party's National Delegates Conference in a move that could reshape the 2027 race. With the red tide roaring again, Uhuru walked into the bomas of Kenya like a man on a mission, confident, defiant, and unapologetically political. Delegates from across the country filled the hall with chants of Uhuru, Uhuru, as he took the podium and declared, "We are not dead. Jubilee is not finished. We are just getting started." The former commander-in-chief didn't mince words. He called out betrayal within the Azimio coalition, slammed hijackers of democracy, and warned the Jubilee will no longer be a passive player. The message was clear. Uhuru is reclaiming his space, and with him, the Jubilee Party is roaring back to life. The conference resolved to purge rebel members, revive grassroots structures, and possibly front a 2027 presidential candidate, a direct challenge to those who thought Jubilee was buried. Political shockwaves are now rattling across the country. Is this the rebirth of Jubilee as a major power bloc? Is Uhuru setting the stage for a political kingmaker or comeback? Or even more? One thing is clear. This was not just another conference. This was a declaration of war. And the 2027 battlefield just got even more unpredictable. Stay safe, stay engaged, and keep the conversation going. Until next time, keep believing in a better, stronger nation.